What up, JGT? How's it going tonight,
Dude,
baby?
I don't know what my problem was not being able to get you on the freaking phone. I'm such an old man, I guess.
Dude, it's not you, brother. It's probably me living out here in the middle of Bumfield, BFE, North Carolina. Service is not fantastic for the day.
Word. Hey, are you liking it better out there, or are you settled in?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I miss Mobile. That was home for the better part of 7 years, but North Carolina's beautiful. Can't complain with the countryside I'm in or the assignment I've got right now. And I definitely can't complain. We're on the precipice of another college football season, and one which we don't have to walk into thinking, hey, it's over before it even starts.
Wait.
So just glad to be talking to you guys tonight, man.
We didn't do that last year, did we?
I don't think, yeah. I don't think me and you did. I think we tried to go glass half full to start the season right up until the Missouri game.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I've got my ticket, my promotional ticket from that game that they sold, commemorative ticket, and I put it in polymer so we would never have it bend or flake or break because that was such a big win, man.
As you should have. You know, beating the fighting Eli Drinkwitzes, you know, on a last second dropped touchdown run.
Guy Forks at our chat says the crazy thing is that J-Head is as handsome as he is knowledgeable. Listen to that, J-Head.
Ooh, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far at all, either on the knowledgeable or the handsome part. But I appreciate you, brother. I honestly do.
I know you've been doing video shows over there with Jay Lee, haven't you?
I have. It's been an interesting change for me this past year. We've been me, him, and Cole kind of built that show together, and it's been really different. And, you know, look, I'm indebted to you and Jay Lee for everything, man. You guys put me on platforms when I was a slapdick poster on the bunker, you know what I mean, and invited me to come out and be a part of it. So I can't thank you guys enough. But, yeah, it's been really great working with Jay Lee this past year on that show in particular. And showing my face to everybody is definitely different. You know what I mean? Like, you're a little more used to it, but I still find myself, like, looking like, oh, man, making faces at the camera again. What are you doing, dude?
Nah, I know, man. It's a change. It's a change. But I've seen part of a show, and you're used to it now. You're a natural, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm getting more used to it, that's for sure.
Hey, listen, let's talk a little bit about recruiting since that's kind of your area of expertise, although you know a lot about team stuff too. But I've got the list of the commitments up here. I think Auburn's got 17 now. And in the rivals rankings, they're like just a hair behind Georgia at number 3 in average stars per recruit. So they're doing a hell of a job. The quality, the caliber of the kids they're getting committed right now is we're talking about back in the old days when shit was going really, really well. Tell me about your thoughts about this class so far.
So what I would tell you is, and I've said this on our show multiple times over, I cannot remember a head coach who puts the emphasis on recruiting the way that Hugh Freeze does, and you can see it from the top down. That's really the biggest difference for us, because when you go back and you kind of look at our history, think about Tommy Tuberville. Fantastic coach, but he kind of put more of the emphasis on recruiting on his assistants and really kind of leaned on the logo somewhat. Same with Gene Chizik. Chizik hired even better recruiters for assistants and leaned on them to be kind of the closers. Gus, as much as I loved him, you know what I mean, like just for the person that he is, he still is always going to have a little bit of an awkward nature about him. And then obviously we kind of all know the deal with, you know, the previous coach and his disdain, more or less, for recruiting. Hugh Freeze is the kind of guy that can, you know, he walks into a room and he doesn't meet a stranger. He can talk to a wide variety of people and a range of people. I'm talking 16-year-old kids to 70-year-old grandparents. And in no way, shape, form, or fashion has it ever become awkward or weird for him to be able to identify and reach those people and be able to have legitimate conversation and dialogue. And then the importance that he puts up every day, whether it's FaceTiming with recruits or calling recruits, he's got a schedule each and every day. It doesn't stop. And he understands that these first 2 years are make or break for him, because it becomes incredibly more difficult to recruit if wins don't translate on the field after year 2. Everybody gets a pass in year 1, right, for the most part.
Yeah.
You can go 6-6 and you can still recruit in the top 10. It's not till you come to the conclusion of the second year things aren't really going in the right direction, which I don't anticipate to be the case. But even if it weren't, you still kind of get a pass in year 2. By year 3, what you've done in recruiting is what you have, and it's going to be extremely hard for you to recruit if the product on the field is not where you need it to be. But he's attacking it. He understands what it is. It's a talent acquisition issue that we have at Auburn right now, and you're just talent deficient in certain spots. Now, they did a great job in the portal, kind of filling some holes, but a lot of those are one-year stopgaps that you and I both know. They're good floor setters, but they're not where they need to be from an established talent ceiling standpoint to really get this team competing for championships year in and year out. And that's what he's trying to fix.
Anybody in this class of 24, really stick out to you? I mean, guys that you think are pretty damn special?
I think it starts with Perry Thompson, right? I mean, you're talking about it's been a hole for us since Seth Williams, and maybe even before that, to have that outside alpha dog X wide receiver. That's what Perry is. And in Hugh Freeze's offense, you have to have that guy. For it to work the way that it needs to, you have to have a guy that can go up, make plays in phase, catch back shoulder balls, really be able to use that catch radius and take advantage of situations in the RPO game, specifically on those choice routes, where if the quarterback and the wide receiver are on the same page, there are big plays waiting to happen. Because what this offense says at its core is a run, play action, post-snap adjustment by the wide receiver type offense that wants to take vertical shots down the field. Yeah. That's what it wants to do. And Perry's the guy that can absolutely do that and take the top off the defense. And then I think you look at DeMarcus Riddick, your other 5-star in this class. Now, he's not in any way refined as what he will be. He is just an absolute athlete right now that plays all over the field. When you watch him play, he'll line up at safety. He'll return punts, kicks, play down in the box off the edge. He also stands up at linebacker some, not as much as he's going to at Auburn because he's a prototype real linebacker. In this scheme, he's still learning how to play linebacker. But once he sets his feet and gets with Josh Aldridge and they coach him up a little bit, he's the kind of guy that's got the skill set that you just can't teach, Jay. And he has the opportunity to take this defense to a whole other level. But those are the two guys that stick out to you right now. And then you got a bunch of other really good players in this class. But those are the two, to me, that are elite right now. They kind of set themselves apart from everybody else.
What do you really like about Walker White at this point? Because I think he's he's the one that he wanted. There's no doubt about that. He picked him out very quickly and went right after him. Tell me what you like about him.
The mentality. I mean, look, the physical skills are there. Like, you can watch him. He throws a very good ball. He can spin it. And very different to Robbie, which you can see on tape. And look, I'm not trying to bash Robbie when I say this because he's the most physically gifted or dynamic quarterback on this roster, but he lacks the anticipatory part. And for a better word, pitch selection, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When he's throwing the ball, not every throw can be the same. You need to be able to change speeds and change velocity, and Robbie's still learning to do that. Walker White does that innately. That's not difficult for him. The arm talent's there. But what I love about a quarterback or any player is the ability to turn from play to play and to maintain that steady balance. And you can see that from him, how he plans, to be a leader for this team. He embodies the way you want a Power 5 quarterback to be. When you have to trust somebody to lead your offense, you're in the 2-minute, you're down by 6. And you got to go get 7 to win the game. You need somebody that's going to have that cool, calm demeanor that's going to have everybody rallied behind them, ready to go, organized and focused. And you see that work ethic from him, and you see that drive. So it's the intangible things, to me, that really make Walker White special. And what I think, when he comes into this, he's not going to be intimidated by quarterback competition. He's going to go in, he's going to push himself. And whether he's the starter right away or not is kind of irrelevant. You want a guy to be able to kind of mature somewhat in a scheme, specifically in a situation where you have quarterback developers like Ken Austin, like Philip Montgomery, like Hugh Freeze himself. You want a guy to be able to kind of take his time somewhat. But, when he does put his cleats in the grass, he's going to be ready to go.
All right. I like the sound of that. That's a guy you can win with right there.
That is absolutely. And then, look, you also look at the mobility aspect of it, too. And I think Peyton Thorne is a sneaky athlete, right? And he's going to be able – he's kind of like Bo Wallace somewhat, and I think Hughes compared him to that, and that's what I would compare him to as well. But Walker White is a plus-plus athlete. And when you have a plus-plus athlete in this kind of an offense, you can do a lot of things in the run game where you can't overload or really kind of, overload the box somewhat, which is what we saw a lot of last year because of his ability to throw and run.
Yeah, that's awesome. This team, this current varsity Auburn Tigers team, thoughts on what this team can accomplish?
For me, Jay, staying in the vein of realism, I think the floor is 6-6 for this team. I think the ceiling is probably 8-4. And I think if you get 8-4 in a top 10 recruiting class this year, Hugh Freeze will have worked wonders, and everybody should be giving him a round of applause for that. You and I both know what the ruins that this team was left in.
Absolutely.
Coming out of this past year. And every hole that they had to plug because of kind of failures in recruiting stemming from Gus's last 2 years pushing all the way through Harson's 2 years at the helm. And I'm not trying to bag on the kids that were there, the kids that stayed. It's just you can see the talent differential on the field, specifically in certain games we played last year. Now, you can get by with scheming up certain things, but up front is the major difference. And I love the way they have retooled the offensive line. I think you're going to be top half of the SEC on the offensive line. And I think the offense, honestly, is going to be able to put up points against everybody we play. I don't think that's going to be an issue. What scares me somewhat is still the defensive front, because you lost your three best players on the defensive front last year, Derek Hall, Kobe Wooden, and Eku Leota. And if Leota had stayed injury-free last year, I think he would have been drafted as well. I don't know that you have the top-end talent that you had last year on this defensive line, or on this year's defensive line that you had last year. I think we're deeper, but I don't know that you have the top-end talent. So that scares me somewhat. And then the linebacker play, what are we going to get out of Austin Keys? I think he's going to be an upgrade, but he's injured right now.
Yes,
what are we going to get out of Larry Nixon coming from a G5 program in North Texas? You don't know just yet. So there are a lot of improvements there. But I think anywhere between 6-6 and 8-4, and I lean towards the record actually being 7-5, with an upset against somebody that you probably shouldn't beat. I mean, I think we're going to be dogs in a lot of the SEC games we play, minus probably Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. So I think you're going to upset Ole Miss at home. I think you got the opportunity to upset either A&M or Arkansas on the road. And I will say this.
Yes.
If we win that Ole Miss game at home, and then you turn back around and you win that Mississippi State game, and then you go on the road to beat Vanderbilt, and then you somehow figure out a way to go into Fayetteville and win that game, Jordan-Hare is going to be a zoo when Alabama and Nick Saban roll into town.
Well, that would be awesome.
Hugh's going to be preaching in the locker room. They're going to be talking about locking the gate and looking for a fight and all that stuff. And you know, Jay, what Jordan-Hare's like when you get a hot Auburn team versus an Alabama team that's still probably trying to figure out their identity somewhat on offense. So while I wouldn't favor us, watch out, because that game could be something special if we go on that kind of a roll.
Yeah. Dude, I thought Auburn – I was kind of doing the spitballing on the schedule earlier, and I think they can win 9. I don't think they can beat Georgia. I don't think they can beat LSU at LSU, and then I think A&M is going to be a problem because they usually implode later in the season, not that early.
Right.
But after that, I don't know, man. There were some folks in the chat earlier, Jay, that thought that Georgia was a more palatable game for Auburn right now than Alabama, and I'm not sure I agree with that.
I don't either. Not at all. Just because the way Kirby's constructed that team and the depth they have on both lines of scrimmage. Now, look, in the first 22, Alabama's got some elite players on the defensive front as well as on the offensive front. But I don't like their depth the way I like Georgia's. And you're talking about an Alabama team that's transitioning schemes on the offensive side of the ball. Georgia's set. They are who they are. They haven't changed a lick. And even though Mike Bobo's calling the plays, he's still calling it out the playbook that was from the guy there before. So it's not going to be all that much different. And he's got a feel for the personnel because he was there all last season.
Yeah.
So I don't like that matchup for us versus Georgia. I'm with you that I like the matchup better against Alabama, even though I wouldn't favor us. But I just find it in a year one where you really we flipped over half our roster this year.
Yes.
So in year one, with new schemes on both sides of the ball, you flipped half your roster. That's a lot of transition. For me to think that you're going to get both A&M and Arkansas on the road, that's the tough part for me. But I'm with you. That Alabama game, that's the interesting one, because if you get hot down the stretch, can you win that one? And then that gets you to 9-3.
And that would be a tasty ninth win too. Oof. Wouldn't
it? I mean, for Hugh Freeze and Auburn to beat Alabama in year one, that tells you that everything is achievable, right? There's nothing off the table that this man can't accomplish while he's at Auburn if you can get that feat done in year one. But like I said, to rein it back into reality, my expectation is 7-5 this year. I don't want to put too much on Coach Freeze has played and expect 9-3. Is it possible? Yes. Would I predict it? No. And I do believe we're more in that 6-6 to 8-4 range. That's kind of where we fall.
Word. I'm still fine with that myself after the disaster that last year was on and off the field.
100%. If we can get 6-6, even if it's 6-6, worst case it's 6-6, but there's cohesion and we're improving and you're fighting your ass off in every game that you're playing in, and the product just looks good, but you just don't have the Jimmys and the Joes yet. That's okay, because we can see what's coming. You can see what's coming. He's laying, he's laying the groundwork for it right now. And if he gets to 8-4 and he beats a couple teams, and I know he wants that Ole Miss game. Jay, look, He can say, Coach Freeze can say whatever he wants, and brother, I'm with you. But he wants that game for all the reasons that Auburn fans want it as well.
That's going to be a big one, man. The Ole Miss people don't like me very much, Jay-Head. They used to, but they don't like me anymore. So.
Well, I think there's some good people over there. I think they're a little misguided with how they feel about certain things. And look, at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin is a better fit at Ole Miss than he would have ever been at Auburn.
I agree.
Hugh Freeze is a significantly better fit at Auburn. It played out the way it should. Now, if they're listening tonight, I'm about to say something they're not going to want to hear, and that's that you can bank on it. Lane Kiffin's going to lead you as the first time that he thinks he can go to a Power 5 job, this top 10 in the country. If A&M were to open up after they can Jimbo, he's going to try to get that job.
Hell yes.
Just watch. He is not a lifer at Ole Miss at all, and that's not me taking a shot at the Ole Miss program. That's just me telling them who Lane Kiffin is.
Yeah, we know who he is. He wants to be a cosmopolitan, big-time coach at a big-time program with lots of money. I mean, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No. Look, to each his own. And look, let's be honest here. Why is Texas A&M attracted to a coach like Lane Kiffin? Because he thinks that NIL is the end-all, be-all as it pertains to recruiting. And, Texas A&M has a very healthy NIL situation. So for a guy that's not overly motivated from the recruiting standpoint, having the financial backing of just having guys wheel and deal in the background is pretty appealing.
Yeah, for sure. Jay-Head, man, it's awesome. This is our first show we've had since the first football show we had since Hugh got hired. So it was awesome to have you on here. It's not a true brain drain if you're not on the show.
Brother, I wouldn't have it any other way. I hope I get an opportunity to be on there if it works out for you each and every week.
Yeah, I hope so.
Love the show. Love you guys. Love the show. Love the platform, man. And everybody in the chat tonight, I hope you guys have a great night. Everybody take a shot from me. And look forward to talking some more ball as the season goes on. And hopefully we can talk about a very impressive win next week after UMass.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Jay-Head, appreciate you, brother.
Love you, Jay. Talk to you later, buddy.
Love you, man. Bye.